leaves no listener behind.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Real Men of Real Estate here on KCAA Radio. You can find us on your dial at 1050 AM or 106.5 FM. I'm your host, Dan Reddick, for the third Sunday of every month. And today I've got the distinct pleasure of having Janice Bell with us. We're going to be talking about the 5 keys to funding your real estate investments and where you can find a lot of hidden money that maybe you didn't know about. So, Janice, welcome.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's truly a pleasure. So I just wanted to take a quick minute and help our listeners get to know you. So could you just kind of tell us your real estate investing history? How did you get into it and what have you done?
All right. Thank you. I kept my first condo.
There you go.
There's how to get started. So I've been a
Accidental landlord.
Yeah, I kept it, rented it out when I bought my first house. So keep stuff because you got a really good loan on that probably as an owner versus an investor.
Absolutely.
So I've been a landlord for 34 years. Hate to admit all that, but I've been a landlord for multiple different kinds of projects. So apartment buildings, smaller multi-units, and then as well later got into flipping houses.
Okay.
Done some wholesaling, Airbnb. I mean, basically I'll rent anything, right? So flipping, I'm trying to think of apartment buildings, and then learning how to manage that, and learning how to manage the property managers, learning how to run contracting teams. This house behind me is a house that we staged on one of our flips up in Sacramento. So
okay.
Staging helped sell the house better,
Always. Yeah. All right. Well, that's fascinating. So as that's gone on, I think maybe the biggest secret to what you've done is trying to find money, right? You can find the deals, but how do you fund it? So what led you there? What led you towards focusing on trying to raise capital?
Well, 2 things actually. For the average real estate investor, you will run out of your own money. It's almost better if you didn't have any to start with. So when people have their own, they invest their own, and then they hit that wall of, well, I want to buy more deals, but they don't have the funds to do it. Then they have to learn how to raise it. If you didn't start with any, you're learning how to raise money right away. So that's very helpful. So that was one of the impetuses of how can I do more deals and raise money with other people's money and help them learn how to make a better return by investing their money. The second one was I worked for one of the gurus as a coach, and I during that time coached probably over 250 students across the country.
Wow.
So they have a 6-month coaching program. So sometimes I was coaching like 20 to 40 people a month, right? In their calls. And I found that there were 2 things that they needed that they didn't have. One is they needed access to deals. And the reason I'm making my finger go around is they would chase their tail. I don't have deals. So I said, well, I taught them how to go get deals. And then they would come back 2 weeks later and say, I said, did you go through the protocol I gave you to look for some deals? And they go, no, because, I don't have any money. So I didn't look for deals. And I said, okay, well, let me teach you how to look for money. So let's go on that. And then 2 weeks later, they'd come on their call and say, well, I didn't look for money because I don't have any deals. And this was just chasing
classic
the tail.
Chicken and egg. Yeah.
Right.
Never did anything because I can't do the next thing.
And there's lots and lots of clubs that teach you how to find deals, how to market, wholesaling, and things like that. So when I wanted to focus on for myself and my club and my coaching is teaching people how to raise the money, because it seems like there was less information about that. You often hear some of the bigger investors up on stage, and they will say, oh, I have this one investor with millions, and they just fund everything for me.
I hear that a lot. Yeah.
And so
that's a very tough relationship to get set up.
the average person goes, I don't know that how to find that person. And what if that, and I've seen this happen to people, that one person goes away, now you still don't know
Hmm.
how to raise money. So what I like to teach people how to do is how to raise money from a variety of different people and different sources so that you kind of have some backup. And you might hit the whale eventually, but you're not totally dependent on that one whale to do that. What it's led me to in my career at this point is to start focusing more and more on raising the money in a syndication type style
Oh, okay.
for someone who's really specializing their operations in one particular kind of real estate. And I'm the one specializing in raising the money from different people who want to invest and who aren't don't have the time because of their job or the know-how yet to do the deal themselves.
I see.
So they kind of earn while they learn in a
Okay, I
way.
was just going to ask how interactive is that project, like, or program?
Yeah, it depends on the operator,
Okay.
who's doing the deal. I mean, you can get some information from them, but at least you know how the deal's structured. You're going through the process
Hmm.
of doing that. And then on
Right.
a smaller scale, they lend on one flip, and that's a deed of trust basically to one person doing a house. And a lot of people start that way, or they then put money into a syndication where you're raising $1 million and they only put in 50 or 25,000 and with a lot of people, and that's what's called a syndication.
Got it. All right. So a lot of ways to do it, but you've got something pretty specific that works for
Works for a
not
lot
just
of
not
people.
not just you, but for general investors. There's an easy way, relatively
I
easy way. How
I
about
wouldn't.
that?
So part of it is if someone wants to learn how to raise money themselves, really, I'm going to coach you through the things to your mindset
Hmm.
about it, and then the things to say
Most
to
important part.
specific people. And I'm also going to coach you on what kinds of people to start with,
Uh-huh.
and then practice, practice, practice. You're practicing in a mirror, you're recording yourself, you're figuring out what you look like and sound like when you talk to someone about money.
Hmm.
And that has to be a mindset shift.
Got it.
You What I have to say is you're not asking for money. And that's where most people come from, is like, I'm asking for money. My parents told me not to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And
Right.
so it's just even
It's
in
an
the
awkward
sound of their
conversation.
voice is off when they do that.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, we have to switch your whole mindset about what you're offering to people as opposed to asking.
Got it. All right. So of these five keys, where do you want to start?
Oh, 5 keys. All right. So keys to how to use money that you didn't know you had, or
Yeah,
how to find money that other people didn't know they had
all
for
of the
real
above.
estate. Yeah.
Yeah, how can I fund my real estate investments? I know you've got five keys for doing that.
Exactly, exactly. So the first one I'll say, the easiest one is find any and all of your old 401ks from your previous jobs. So every time you leave an employer, your 401k is now available for you to self-direct. And most people don't know this.
Okay.
They leave that account sitting there in whatever mutual funds your previous employer had invested in, and they don't really do anything with it. So they end up with these various accounts hosted by different companies. And what's
Okay.
the reason we're not taught that is because really 401ks were set up so Wall Street could gain fees from selling stocks to us or
I
mutual
see.
funds,
Okay.
right?
So it's
And
not
the
really in our best interest. It just happens to work out sometimes.
Yes, and they always talk about administration fees for mutual funds,
Hmm.
and if you look on the list of Wall Street, there's you know 1.2% or 3% fees or whatever. You can look at that. There's also an exact duplicate of that fund that's sold through 401ks that even has a higher administration fee because they're collecting that from you and the employer. And that same fund, whether it's, I'm not going to say the names of all the different companies, you guys know who they are. Um, they have an identical fund that goes into your 401k that has a slightly higher rate
Right.
of fees than it does when it's on the open market on,
I see.
in Barron's or whatever, wherever you want to look it up. So you really want to move out and away from those, the 401ks that
Right.
were handed to you by your employer. Um, and
So when you said
people don't realize that.
self-directed, what do you mean by self-directed? Because I think that's a big question for a lot of people.
Right, exactly. So self-directed means you can still invest in stock, but you can also invest in real estate and lots of other things that bring in income to you. There's a few things that are excluded, like art. You can't invest in that.
Okay.
So you can self-direct and choose where those go, because in your 401k, there were only so many choices that your employer gave to you, and it wasn't the open market. So
Right. Yeah. Can confirm.
at the minimum, at least, and some people do half and half, they'll take their 401k and say, well, I'm pretty good with stock, so I'm going to put half into a stock fund where I can now buy Apple individually instead of within a mutual fund. Or they say, well, I'm pretty good at real estate and I don't even like stock, so I'm going to put the whole thing into a self-directed fund with a company so I can do real estate investing. And sometimes it's called an SD IRA, but
Okay.
really that just means self-directed. But really, it's a traditional IRA. And then that law was laid out and designed back in the 70s, and it's just a retirement account.
I see.
So it's in the IRS code.
All right. So if the situation is I leave my current employer, my 401k now is basically hanging, I can convert that to a self-directed and put that money then towards anything I want, unlike the 401k of maybe a current employer, which is very restrictive. Exactly. Okay.
Right. Your current employer, you can't do much with, but we'll get to that later, what you can do. So you really want to take control. You can roll 3 or 4 different. So basically you open the account with a self-directed company, and then you roll all those other, and there's no tax consequences because you really don't touch the money. It gets rolled in. It
still stays in the account. Yeah.
Right. Because as you know, your 401k was a pre-tax contribution. It was put in there without paying any income tax on it. So it's going to go into your traditional IRA account as a pre-tax account. And some people think, well, this is just this odd thing that people do. Actually, if you retired from that same employer, the minute you retire officially, your 401k becomes a traditional IRA because it doesn't stay with your employer when you retire.
I see. Well, we'll learn more about that when we come back. We're going to take a short break and we'll talk to you guys on the other side. Thanks for listening.
Tired of qualifying your leads and not getting the right clients for you? Join the finest women in real estate and learn how to attract the best clients and increase your referral network. Call now at 951-378-5316. 951-378-5316 and become one of the finest women in real estate.
This is Steve Matley. Join me every Thursday at 3 p.m. right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations radio talk show. I spent decades as a professional construction manager, business owner, real estate developer, and a college educator, and I enjoy learning new things from other people. We talk a lot about real estate, business, and finance, but we cover a diverse range of other topics as well. Some of the topics we've discussed in the past few months include real estate investing, leadership, higher education, ADUs, marketing using technology, multifamily rental properties, business strategy, entrepreneurship. You never know who may show up or what they may talk about, so join us right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations Radio.
Hey guys, it's Damon, Mr. Foxy, Damon Hart, and I'm here with the Real Men of Real Estate. And I just want to say, hey, come and watch us this Sunday, 1 p.m. live, every Sunday, okay? We're going to be on KCAA Radio, 1050 a.m., 106.5 FM. If you got a minute, just tune in. We can't wait to have you here. I'm going to be there. If you can't make it on there, we're going to be at Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, or Android app on Building Solid Foundations channel. So tune in. You know what you got to do in the meantime. Keep it foxy.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing, and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Looking to attract your target market without soliciting or doing the cold calling? Call Marie Waite and book your consultation. Branding gives you the power to create a unique and classy perception of your business for your target audience. A marketing plan without the right branding will always cost more, take longer, and tend to deliver subpar results compared to a well-branded business. Marie Waite is a branding strategist who formulates effective marketing and media programs to promote your business in building your name, brand, and legacy. Marie has over 10 years of experience and a proven record of creating strong brand content for business owners, entrepreneurs, and companies using her creative ideas, recommendations, and innovative programs. Book now at mariewaite.com or call her at 951-378-5316, 951-378-5316.
Welcome back to the Real Men of Real Estate here on KCAA Radio. I'm your host, Dan Reddig, here today with Janice Bell, talking about how to fund your real estate investments, not necessarily with your own money or with money you didn't know you had. So, Janice, thanks for being here. The whole conversion of 401ks, and I guess we can talk about HSAs later, to self-directed so you can invest as you see fit is fascinating. What's next, or who do I work with? How can I do that?
Okay, awesome. So you do have to pick a company that's like a custodian for your account. And there's a lot of different companies around that do that. Like I said, you don't hear about it on Wall Street because, you know, the main Wall Street companies, the Fidelities, the Vanguards, the Schwabs, they want to collect their fees for stocks. So when you choose a self-directed company, there's some criteria you might want to go through, and I'm not going to tell you what works for you, but you might want to look at how big or small the company is. One is how many assets do they have under management? So these kind of things would be on their website, about us pages. You know, is it how many millions or billions of dollars do they have in their accounts? Years in business. The other one I like to look at is what time zone are they in? Because when you submit paperwork, they're going to review the investment you want to make according to the IRS rules, and they're going to the rules specific to your IRA. It's going to take them about 3 days. So their cutoff point in general is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then the countdown comes for 3 business days after that, or some say 3 to 5. And
interesting. So the IRS is actually regulating that.
No, these are the companies saying that it takes that long for us to review your investment to make sure it complies with the IRA rules as they're written. So I'll talk a little bit more about that. And to make sure that, you know, everything that you submitted. So you're submitting what you want to invest in, and then you're submitting a direction of investment letter to them that gives the name of the investment, your account, how much you want to put in, where the money's going to be wired to, sort of all that information. So they're reviewing that for compliance. And so if there's a 3 o'clock deadline, if it's in your time zone, it's great. But say we're on the West Coast and we pick an East Coast company, so the deadline is really noon. So you've kind of almost added an extra day to, you know, what if you get it in at 12:05? You've added an extra day to the time it takes for the money to get dispersed.
So you might miss a deadline, not even know you're going to miss it.
Right, of a purchase. You know, say you're trying to get it's escrow because you're lending money for someone to buy a property. You want to make sure you have more time. So
that'd be man, don't delay their escrow. Got it.
Right, I tend to like things in my time zone. Let's see. Oh, so that, you know, we're talking a little bit about what you do if you're employed by someone, but we do know a lot of people that are self-employed and have their own business. So another option for you is when you set up a retirement account, if you're self-employed for yourself, you can set up accounts called SEP, or one's called Simple. And those accounts are retirement accounts within your business. And which one you choose depends on if you have employees or not. So if it's just you and a spouse, you have one account.
Simple.
Yeah, the Simple, or then the SEP. So there's a couple different rules around that. So you got to pick the one that's best for you. Those because you're going to a provider to open that account, those are really automatically self-directed because you are the employer. So you don't have to worry about moving it into one. If you own your own business and have a retirement account associated with it, by design, those are already self-directed. So you can just invest whatever money you're putting in. And as the employer and employee, your limits of what you can put in per year are much higher than they are for
I
a
see.
401k.
So
So there's
do
a
I
lot of
have,
advantages of that.
if I want to get a self-directed fund of some kind, do I have to open a company or register an LLC or something along these lines, some kind of corporate structure to do self-directed?
Oh, no. If you're
Oh,
going to do a
okay.
self-directed, if you're going to do it for yourself, you can just put your money into your IRA and your IRA can fund those different deals. You
I
don't
see.
need a company. You might be lending to someone who has an LLC,
Sure.
but you don't have to, and you can't lend to your own. Let's put it that way, Dan. You
Yeah,
can't lend to your own LLC because that is a prohibited transaction.
I see.
So you're
So, but
prohibited from investing in your own investments. And there's also a number of people that are disqualified from you investing. Like you can't invest in people up and down your family line. Like you can't invest in your mom's real estate
so you can,
or
okay,
your
immediate
kids' real
family
estate.
is restricted. Okay.
Not, it's a little not, but you can invest sideways with siblings
Okay.
and cousins and aunts and uncles, the ones you have the least influence over.
I see.
Like if you had a fight with them, whatever, but we often have influence on our parents and our kids. And so
Certainly.
they don't want you investing with them. You can invest with your spouse if you both go in at the same time. Like you could do 50% of your IRA and 50% of a spouse's IRA, as long as you go in at the same time. Because you have undue influence over those people, you can't go in and save yourself, which
I
would
see.
be, oh, this isn't going well, let me put more money into it. You can't do that because that's not technically an investment. That's a run your own business. So that's why they review these documents to figure out who's running the investment and how you're putting the money in. So it's a lot of
see.
people say, well, they would love what's called the checkbook IRA.
I've heard of that. Yeah. What
So
is
that's
that?
great if you're experienced. And I would say open an account with a company, run your self-directed company, run a few deals through that so you start to see what it is you can and cannot do. Because the people running those companies go to lots of meetings and have a lot of education behind them on what's acceptable. And so it's best if you learn from that before you do the checkbook. So the checkbook IRA is really helpful, but you're determining whether you should do something or not. You can use it for flips because you have to pay a lot of people when you do a flip. And a lot of people use it for tax lien sales or foreclosure auctions because you need the money that day. You can't wait 3 days for them to review your investment. That's
Okay.
why
So
those are
faster
specific.
moving, but much riskier.
Yeah.
All right. So if I'm going to get a self-directed fund and I'm going to go and do this, I've picked out someone to work with, a custodian who's going to keep me from running afoul of the IRS and other laws. Now what?
Oh, now what? So now you're going to look, well, probably before you move the money, you've already thought about what you want to invest into.
Yeah.
Two of the most simple things are lending money to someone else's project. And that's the cleanest way to do it because really you have no expenses except you send the money. And then when they're done with the project, they send the money back or they're sending in a dividends. Like one of the ones we've invested in, a syndication in Houston, where we get a quarterly payment and it goes directly to the IRA. The only way I know that we got it is I have to log in and see.
You have to log in and look in your brokerage. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't send anything to me except an email saying notification. They're not allowed to send it to me because I can't take possession of that money. I would say if you don't have an old 401k and you're not self-employed, the easiest thing to set this thing up is to go directly to your local bank or credit union and just open an IRA or a Roth account and start having money automatically sent there from your checking account. Because think about when you said, what do I invest in? in order to get started, you should really have at least $10,000. And if you're not going to put that in, I mean, you're only limited to, in a traditional, I think it's around right around now 6,000 a year plus an extra 1,000 if you're over 50.
I believe that's right. Yeah.
So you don't really have enough to invest yet. So if you're going to take 2 years to do it, just do it at a bank account at a bank that has no fees at all.
Okay, so they're a low cost custodian effectively. They make it real easy on you.
Yeah, we just did one when we were starting a Roth. We just had it automatically deducted from our checking account. Once we got to a balance that was reasonable to invest, then we moved it into a self-directed.
I see.
What people don't realize, you know, your employer was paying your 401k to get it set up, or they know they're making money when you buy these stocks because they're getting fees from the mutual funds. You just don't see the fees.
Yeah.
So when you go to self-directed, it's all on the table. It's all in front of you. They collect a fee, either a yearly fee to maintain the account in a couple $100, or they have a fee for every time you make an investment, because now they're reviewing the documents and they're wiring it out. They're actually doing work, so which they need to get paid for to maintain the company. So, but at least now the fees are transparent. You can see them.
Right. Okay. So that's the kind of the simple version of the plan to get started. And so I've saved up $10,000 and in my account, I'm ready to go. I can convert to a self-directed, and now I'm an investor. I got to find it. I got to go find a deal.
Right. You have to find a deal. So one thing to think about when you said I have exactly that amount, we used to keep a certain amount of money in for our yearly fees. But the law allows you to pay the fee from outside of your account. So say you have exactly 10,000 and that's your investment, that's what's going to go.
You don't have to touch your principal.
You are allowed to pay that like automatically with a credit card. You know, your $295 a year can just be auto debited from your credit card. No problem with that.
Okay. Is there any other gotchas or things to kind of look out for while I'm setting this up?
Okay, if you have like part of it's Roth and part of it's traditional, you'd have to open both accounts at first, and then you could roll it in. So say it was you had a little bit in traditional and mostly Roth, you're gonna put the money directly into both accounts and then roll it from the traditional into the Roth, pay the tax for that year, and then shut down that traditional account. So you still end up with one account in the IRA. If you have a lot in both, I'd say keep both open, and I'll get into a little bit later, like why you want to move money to your Roth.
Well, we'll talk more about that after these messages. Thanks for being here, Dennis.
Tired of qualifying your leads and not getting the right clients for you? Join the finest women in real estate and learn how to attract the best clients and increase your referral network. Call now at 951-378-5316. 951-378-5316 and become one of the finest women in real estate.
This is Steve Matley. Join me every Thursday at 3 p.m. right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations radio talk show. I spent decades as a professional construction manager, business owner, real estate developer, and a college educator, and I enjoy learning new things from other people. We talk a lot about real estate, business, and finance, but we cover a diverse range of other topics as well. Some of the topics we've discussed in the past few months include real estate investing, leadership, higher education, ADUs, marketing using technology, multifamily rental properties, business strategy, entrepreneurship. You never know who may show up or what they may talk about, so join us right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations Radio.
Hey guys, it's Damon, Mr. Foxy, Damon Hart, and I'm here with the Real Men of Real Estate. And I just want to say, hey, come and watch us this Sunday, 1 p.m. live, every Sunday. Okay, we're going to be on KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. If you got a minute, just tune in. We can't wait to have you here. I'm going to be there. If you can't make it on there, we're going to be at Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, or Android app on Building Solid Foundations channel. So tune in. But you know what you got to do in the meantime. Keep it foxy.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections. hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. FireUp Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. FireUp Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Looking to attract your target market without soliciting or doing the cold calling? Call Marie Waite and book your consultation. Branding gives you the power to create a unique and classy perception of your business for your target audience. A marketing plan without the right branding will always cost more, take longer, and tend to deliver subpar results compared to a well-branded business. Marie Waite is a branding strategist who formulates effective marketing and media programs to promote your business in building your name, brand, and legacy. Marie has over 10 years of experience and a proven record of creating strong brand content for business owners, entrepreneurs, and companies using her creative ideas, recommendations, and innovative programs. Book now at mariewaite.com or call her at 951-378-5316, 951-378-5316.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Real Men of Real Estate. Talking with Janice Bell today about funding your real estate investments through your 401ks and maybe other people's 401ks potentially. So I know that there's a myriad of ways to do this, but next I kind of think we want to talk about focusing on how to borrow. So what is borrowing from a 401k? How does it work?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. So I did mention that the easiest kind of investment to make was borrowing and lending it because there's only very few transactions going forward. Say you were, if you have a rental property, now your IRA has to pay for the taxes and any repairs and the management fee, and the manager can't send you the money. They have to send it directly to the IRA. So
okay,
it's a little more complicated to own it in your IRA than it is to lend money out. Because you have to get other people on board to say, you can't send the money to me, even though I'm the one talking to you. You have to send it to the IRA.
Okay, so something to clarify real quick there is the fees for managing the IRA in whatever form it is, or retirement account, I can pay that with external money. But anything to properties that I'm managing has to be using the funds that came from, or that has to go through the IRA if that's how I'm investing.
Exactly. So if you're buying a house, say you have 100K in there, you're buying a house in the Midwest, 100K, you better leave. I mean, you can contribute every year, you can add your 6,000, but you better leave enough for repairs and hot water heaters and furnaces,
whatever else comes through.
And any kind of vacancy taxes or anything that might happen, contingency, because it has to come from that account.
I see. So how much can I borrow then from my 401k or self-directed amount? Like,
there is really no, from your self-directed account, whatever's in there is you could lend it out. You can't.
Okay, so there's no limit on that, but there are limits then on, like, if you're with an employer.
True, absolutely. So like if you had the traditional, you could lend to me on a house that I'm buying, but not to me directly, but it goes straight to escrow. And I could do the same thing with you. If you have been with the same employer, loyal employee, and you never change jobs, you now have this large account with your employer. What do you do with that? How do you find hidden money there? Well, most of these 401k accounts allow some sort of borrowing, and it's actually a really good way to tap into that money and borrow it. Some people use it to buy a car. You could use it to buy real estate. So when you borrow from it, it's just a loan, and it really has nothing to do with the IRA rules. You're borrowing money, and once it's outside of that account, you can buy real estate with it. You can work with a disqualified person, your spouse, your mother, your kid, whatever.
Okay, so it's almost found money in a respect.
It's just money. So most of them allow you to borrow up to 50% of your account, or they might have a max on it. For example, you can only borrow 50,000 at once. You're paying it back at a set interest rate that the 401k plan determines. It might be 6, might be 8, But think
Okay.
about this, you're paying interest to yourself. So you're not really losing anything because whatever payment is automatically coming out of your paycheck to go back in there is going into your account.
Okay.
So no one else is, it's really an advantage. You're paying yourself interest.
Okay. So the management company's not getting a cut of that. That's just straight to your own account. So if I can invest in
Yeah.
something, let's say I can take out 50,000 a year from my account, every year I can invest 50,000 and get paid back on that at a higher interest rate,
Yeah.
buy a rental property, buy a camper van, something like that, where I might make a 20 or 25% return. And not only am I paying myself back, but I'm making more on top of that.
Well, say you make a 25% return and your interest rate is 8%. Only the 8% can go back into the account because that's a loan.
It's a loan. Okay. So the rest
it's a
of it.
loan from your account because it's just money that you took out. It's not tied to any IRA rules at all. So it's the 25% you made minus the 8 that you put back. That's profit on the outside that has nothing to do with your 401k.
All right.
It's
So
a really
that's
way to make money on outside.
So you can actually sort of get a little bit of money out of your current employer 401k that way.
And find some friends. So here's the other here's the other thing is now this is a down payment on something where you can go get a loan for it.
So you can use it for leverage.
You can use this in a leveraged account, whereas the stuff that's in your IRA account, if you did find a non-recourse loan, you do have to pay this separate tax called UBIT tax, which is a business tax that's pretty high. And so if you have money in your IRA, you really want to be able to put all that money into an investment. You don't want to use it as a down payment and borrow against it unless it's a really good deal because the tax would be high. If you borrow money from your 401k, which is not self-directed at this point, that's just cash because you could buy a car with it. You could do whatever. Mm-hmm. You could then use it as a down payment, get a hard money loan, flip a house, put your 8% back into as you do with your monthly payment, and then keep the profit spread. And the profits outside of your 401k. So
I see.
It's a nice way to use that.
I
can see the wheels turning up there, Dan.
Well, I'm just wondering if I can take a loan every year or just once, or just one at a time for my account. So I'll be reading my plan rules after this. You can guarantee.
Absolutely. Go dig out the fine print, right?
Absolutely. So I've also got an HSA, and I know I've heard some tricks, but I don't really know a lot about it. What's different about an HSA versus a 401k when they're still employer-sponsored accounts?
Okay, good thing to ask. So there's other self-directed accounts besides traditional IRA, and there's the Coverdale one, which is for education, but you put a small amount in there, like the limits of what you put in is pretty small. The other account that's become very popular in the last 5 years is a health savings account. So it's different than the flex savings account. In the flex savings account that people are used to, your employer gives you some money to use on your disposable kind of expenses from health, and it goes away at the end of the year unless
if you don't spend it, you lose it. Yeah, that seems like kind of a raw deal.
So the health savings account is only comes with insurance plans that are called high deductible. So your deductible might be $3,000, and some employers put in a pretty good either half or more. Ours does less than that, but they put some money into that HSA account for you to use for your copays.
I see.
Because the deductible is so high. But my advice is for you to use your own after-tax money and pay for your own copays. Because what you really want to do is bank this tax-free money into these HSA accounts. And I've read something that when you retire, because you have higher medical expenses, each person needs like $300 a month for medical expenses, including some premiums, as well as medications and doctor's visits and stuff. So you really want to have that money socked away, and it's completely tax-free. The thing is, when it's put in, it's tax-free, and that's before Medicare and Social Security is taken out. And when you take it out, it's tax-free for medical expenses. You should fill this account, because if you don't use it for medical expenses, and you retired, it gets taxed normally like traditional IRA money would, where you pay income tax on the money you take out. So there's really no harm in putting it away. You are going to use it, and even if you don't, you can use it for normal expenses.
All right, so I retired. That becomes an investment, a retirement account after I retire, pretty much no matter what.
Right, but the loophole is, and I think they might close this loophole. At this point, and this is a loophole we discovered just from using the account. I don't know if that many people talk about it, but with your employer and your 401k, even if they changed providers, they're going to roll that money. So say your company gets a really good deal with Vanguard, and like 5 years from now, they get a great deal with Fidelity. They kind of take all your 401k money and they move it over for you. You don't even ever see it, right?
Got it. Right.
The loophole, sometimes your employer changes, gets a better deal on health insurance. 1 year they're with Aetna, another year they're with Cigna, whatever. When they stop using that Aetna on January 1st and switch to Cigna, your HSA money is just hanging out there in this account. It's now not tied to your employer. It's not tied to any.
So they don't roll that over.
They do not.
That's fascinating.
We discovered we had several of these accounts, and we're like, can we roll them over? Sure. And if you don't, if you have less than, I think, $3,000, they start charging you either a monthly or a quarterly fee just to maintain an account with no interest and just cash sitting there.
Wow.
And so your employer used to pay that when you had the health insurance with them. So you really want to find those accounts before they just get depleted by fees and roll them into a self-directed HSA account, which can be invested just like your IRA.
Wow. All right. So that's an incredible amount of flexibility potentially just by your company making changes. You don't even have to change jobs to get access to that.
Some employers change their health insurance every year or two. And now you
All
have
right.
access. You worked for the company for 20 years, but you've had 5 different HSA accounts. Now you've rolled it all into your self-directed custodian who has not all custodians have HSA accounts just because it's a newer account and there's not as much money across the country invested in it. Because in the beginning, people would only put the 2,000 like their flex account because they didn't know it rolled over.
I see.
Now that they know it rolls over, they're putting money in and these accounts are growing.
Oh, wow. All right. So that's a pretty fantastic loophole. I think you're probably right. They're going to close that one. All right. Well, that's it.
The cool part about it is young people can use this money now. It's not like way in the distant future, like a retirement account.
Right. Okay. Well, that's really useful. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. So after these messages, we'll be right back to talk to you guys soon.
Tired of qualifying your leads and not getting the right clients for you? Join the finest women in real estate and learn how to attract the best clients and increase your referral network. Call now at 951-378-5316. 951-378-5316 and become one of the finest women in real estate.
This is Steve Matley. Join me every Thursday at 3 p.m. right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations radio talk show. I spent decades as a professional construction manager, business owner, real estate developer, and a college educator, and I enjoy learning new things from other people. We talk a lot about real estate, business, and finance, but we cover a diverse range of other topics as well. Some of the topics we've discussed in the past few months include real estate investing, leadership, higher education, ADUs, marketing using technology, multifamily rental properties, business strategy, entrepreneurship. You never know who may show up or what they may talk about, so join us right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations Radio.
Hey guys, it's Damon, Mr. Foxy, Damon Hart, and I'm here with the Real Men of Real Estate. And I just want to say, hey, come and watch us this Sunday, 1 p.m. live, every Sunday. Okay, we're going to be on KCAA Radio, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. If you got a minute, just tune in. We can't wait to have you here. I'm going to be there. If you can't make it on there, we're going to be at Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, or Android app on Building Solid Foundations channel. So tune in. You know what you got to do in the meantime. Keep it foxy.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections. hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. FireUp Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. FireUp Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to the Real Men of Real Estate here on KCAA Radio. You can find us on your dial at 106.5 FM, 1050 AM, and I'm hosting on the third Sunday every month. I've been speaking with Janice Bell, and we just went through some really fascinating use cases and loopholes for using your HSA. So that was pretty neat. I thought I knew something about this, and I learned a lot. So thank you. Getting back to kind of strategy, Roth conversions. I've heard about it, but I don't know a lot. So when I say Roth conversion, what does that mean?
Good question, Dan. Good question. So there's really two accounts that you can have. As traditional IRA was started in the late 70s, and then this Roth conversion, named after the senator who introduced the bill, started in the 90s. And the Roth account is a money that goes in after taxes. Now, the limit of how much you put in, it's the same. And that limit applies to your accounts in total. So you could put half in your traditional that year, say you 6,500 limit, and then half, so put 3,000 in each, half in each. The total has to equal the limit, or you can put all 6 in Roth. My experience at this point is I want to put it in the money in after tax, because you don't pay any money when you grow it and take the money out, almost like the Mitt Romney story everyone's had. You can grow this account really big before you retire, and you won't pay taxes on it when you take the money out, because you paid taxes on that money that you earned before you put it in.
Okay, so much smaller tax bill early on, and then,
You have a small tax bill early on, but it's worth it because, the 25K you put in today might be worth 200 20 years from now, and you're not going to pay tax on any of that when you take it out.
I see. Okay, so what is the conversion part of that? Maybe I don't understand something there.
So the conversion part is a lot of us that started with accounts that are earlier in the older generation. Most of our money's in the traditional IRA,
I see.
And we didn't have as much of a chance to build up the Roth. If you're starting now, I'd say just go open a Roth at your local bank, start putting the money in, and then and you can have an IRA Roth that's separate from your 401k. So even though your employer's putting money in, you can still open a Roth on your own and get it started if it's not offered to you.
Okay.
So you have that limit of the 401k and the traditional IRA that you can put in for yourself. So a conversion is when each year, or you can do it all at once, but you're going to pay tax on it as income. So say you make 150K this year, and then you take out another 50K from your traditional and do a conversion and put it into your Roth. Now your income is effectively 200,000. So you're going to pay tax on that extra 50K that you added to your income.
But I won't pay more tax later. So if I hear you right, what you're telling me is if I've got, take the hit, do it now and get it done. Okay.
Yeah. So a Roth conversion is when every year you convert a certain portion of that traditional, roll it into the Roth, and start investing the Roth in exactly the same kinds of investments that you would do.
I see. So this sounds like something I should talk to my tax advisor about, though, to make sure I don't push my income too high, since I'm paying tax on that. I can probably create some trouble. Okay.
Well, right. You want to make sure that you're paying tax on it, maybe in the bracket you're in, but you don't want to go into the
don't want to go
bracket.
over. Yeah. Don't go over my bracket. Yeah. Okay.
So figure out what that is for you.
I see. All right. So we're kind of getting to the end of things here. Tell us a little bit about where people can find you and some of the things you're working on.
Okay, awesome. Well, right now, what I like to do is raise money for syndications. So I find someone who's really just honed in on a specific area of real estate, whether it's land development or building, workforce housing. And then I raise capital from some of my members and friends and investors and put that together. And then I'm funding their deal with $1 million or $2 million or whatever they need for the equity to get started on the project. How do you get involved and reach me with that? I have a club called Private Lending Masters because I focused on how people can raise money. So Private Lending Masters. That website is privatelendingmasters.club. And we're also on Meetup, and I think it's private lending master. So there's a dash between each word.
Okay.
And I can put up the link also for that. The best way to get a hold of me is I have a page called janicebell.me, and you go to janicebell.me, scroll down, look at all the links. And I think the second link is for my club on Meetup, and scroll down, and you can also book a strategy call with me.
Okay. Fascinating.
That's a free strategy call to like for yourself, the same kind of questions you have. This is what I have. What do I do with it?
All right. So help people work through it. All right. And then does that include people who might want to do syndications like you? Are you working on just the private money? Or are you doing all kinds of training?
Well, I do coaching as well. So,
Okay.
you might, in the strategy call, you might just say, well, I'm going to invest. Well, thanks for the info is one. Number two is thanks for the info. When it gets into my account, I might invest in one of your syndications. And then three is, I really am not sure and I need guidance. How about if I join either your one-on-one coaching or your group coaching program?
I see.
Which would be
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for being here today, Janice. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And I learned so much. This is fantastic.
You're welcome, Dan. I enjoyed
absolutely.
myself.
Folks, if you're out there trying to find out a little bit more about real estate investing in general, check out your local real estate investors associations. We call them RIAs. I run one here, and Janice helps out a lot with in San Diego, called the San Diego Creative Investors Association. And this is the perfect place to get out there and get started. We have everything you need from classes and experts, people you can find mentorship and other people to invest with. But really, your network is going to be the difference between you and your success. So I just want to take a second and put that out there that no matter where you are, no matter where you're listening to us today, look up your local real estate investors association, and maybe you can find experts like Janice, who runs our expert lounge, out there taking their time out of their schedule to help people out and keep our community alive.
It's the best thing. I've been there since 2005, Dan. So
wow,
in that club as a member. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for everything you've done, and I'll see you next month. And folks, thanks for listening today to the Real Men of Real Estate on KCAA Radio. You can find us here every third Sunday at 1 p.m. And until next time, best of luck with your investing.
Missed something today, yesterday, last week? Check out our podcasts at www.kcaa.com.